Now, since the release of her debut novel, Dust, award-winning Kenyan writer Yvonne Owuor has set the publishing world buzzing with excitement. Well, the novel, which describes a sister's quest to find out why her brother was killed, has garnered rave reviews from both critics and readers alike. Yvonne is currently working on her second novel, but this weekend she's putting her manuscript aside to give a talk at TEDxEuston. But before she talks to them, she's talking to me. She joins me, in fact, in the studio. Very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Let's look at this book, Dust, because it took 7 years to write. Now, some people would say, hang on, that's an incredibly long time. But from the links that I have with authors, they've said, actually, no, that's perfectly normal for a first-time book, sometimes even longer.
Okay, that's very reassuring. Thank you.
But why did it take so long?
I had to, the book had to teach me certain lessons. First of all, that I'm a medium. I had to learn how to get out of the way of the story. And the book is very linked to Kenyan events, so, and those events informed the flow of the story.
When you said you had to get out of the way of the story, what do you mean by that?
I think there's a writer that says that characters have free will. I had to learn that. I do not command characters to be. And initially, when I was working on this text, I'd defined these characters and said, this is how you're going to be and this is how it's going to flow. No.
They had other ideas.
They had completely other ideas. And when I insisted, they fled from me. So for about 2 years, 2.5 years, Dust and I had parted ways.
Right.
Yes.
And so what brought you back together? When was your eureka moment when you realised, I've got to let go of these characters, I have to follow them, not the other way around?
Well, after a couple of months of torment and looking at alternative options, like, for example, Sailor, it didn't quite work. There was a strange moment when I went to the Brisbane Writers' Festival in 2010, and something unlocked, something that had been suffocated. It just opened up, and one day at 3 a.m. I sat in front of the computer, and the story came.
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting as well because you've had a varied career.
Yes.
Because you've been an executive, effectively, and you've also written short stories for which
Yes.
you've won awards.
Yes.
And you've also written a screenplay as well.
Yes.
So that's quite a few disciplines there.
Oh, meanderings, actually, in order to find the thing that I had been avoiding for a long, long time, which is actually, concentrating on the long story.
Sure. I mean, as I was going to say, actually, which one do you prefer, the short story or the long story or the writing of screenplays?
The long story. I think the reluctance comes from the fact that it is a very anguished choice. It took a long time getting there and making peace with the fact that this is actually what I needed. Yes. It's
interesting because we were talking about reining in characters, putting them in compartments, but this sense of compartmentalization.
Yes.
How would you describe yourself as a writer? Because Dust isn't just looking at a family issue. It also draws in Kenya's most recent violent political backdrop. So are you a political writer or are you an observer of things?
I'm an observer. I'm very much an observer, and I also observe the what I call the darkness, the abyss, which we tend to withdraw from, and not necessarily by choice. I'm drawn to the depths of those particular spaces and to ask why and what. What
is it that attracts you to that? Is it because there are so many possible answers, not one but many?
I think that's beautifully put, exactly that. Curiosity, that kind of curiosity that killed the cat. That
Except your cat's still alive.
Quite a few.
The ongoing curiosity. But, I mean, let's look at some of your influences as well, people who've helped you on this very difficult journey, because it hasn't been easy to get to where you are now. But you've cited Binyavanga, Wainaina and Chinua Achebe as really important influences in your writing career, people that you've collaborated with.
Well, Binyavanga, but Chinua as a kind of iconic presence that says, that all this is possible. But Binyavanga has been an incredible friend, but also a truth teller. I think any artist needs that. Somebody who tells you if you are producing rubbish and does so gently, lovingly.
I was going to say, actually, how brutal is the honesty?
Binyavanga does not wear kid gloves.
Listen, time time is going against us, but I mean, look, you're speaking at TEDxEuston, so as I said in my introduction, you're working on your second book as well.
Yes.
But what are you going to be talking about at TEDx?
It's an exploration of the Africa forward narrative. I think Kwame Nkrumah said Africa looks neither east nor west, but looks forward. And I'll be looking at the notion of forward and where that could possibly be.
Okay,
Yes.
and the second book,
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that in the time available. It's still a work in progress, I know.
Work in progress, a coming-of-age story around the Western Indian Ocean.
Right, so I'm going to hold you to a promise as well, that when that book is released, not only do we get the first copy, but we also get the first interview with you. A deal?
It's a deal.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you can't really say no, can you, on live TV, because that would seem terribly unreasonable.
I could attempt it.
Yvonne, thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
good luck with tomorrow's event.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much.